pulse pounding in her ears and a strange hitch in her lungs. Up close, Jamie Caine was, in a word, breathtaking. He was Mr. Darcy, Atticus Finch, Rhett Butler, and Tom Cruise in Top Gun, all rolled into one glorious package. Dark hair, blue eyes, and that utterly charming Caine smile he shared with Aidan, Eliza's husband, and the other Caine brothers she had met at various events. "You were expecting me, right?" he said after an awkward pause. She jolted, suddenly aware she was staring and had left him standing entirely too long on her front step. She was an idiot. "Yes, of course, come in, I'm sorry." "Pull yourself together, he's just a guy who happens to be gorgeous." So far, she was seriously failing at Landlady 101. She sucked in a breath and summoned her most brisk keep-your-voice-down-please librarian persona. "As you can see, we will share the entry. Because the home is on the Registry of Historical Buildings, I couldn't put in an outside entrance to your apartment, as I might have preferred. The house was built in 1880, one of the earliest brick homes on Lake Haven. It was constructed by an ancestor of mine, Sir Robert Winston, who came from a wealthy British family and made his own fortune supplying timber to the railroads. He also invested in one of the first hot springs resorts in the area. The home is Victorian, specifically in the spindled Queen Anne style. It consists of 7 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. When those bathrooms were added in the 1920s, they provided some of the first indoor plumbing in the region." "Interesting," he said, though his expression indicated he found it anything but. She was rambling, she realized, as she tended to do when she was nervous. She cleared her throat and pointed to the doorway where the 3 cats were lined up like sentinels, watching him with unblinking stares. "Anyway, through those doors is my apartment and yours is upstairs. I have keys to both doors for you along with a packet of information here." She glanced toward the ornate marble-top table in the entryway. That her mother claimed once graced the mansion of Leland Stanford on Nob Hill in San Francisco, where she thought she had left the information. Unfortunately, it was bare. Oh, where did I put that? I must have left it inside in my living room. Just a moment. The cats weren't inclined to get out of her way, so she stepped over them, wondering if she came across as eccentric to him as she felt. A spinster librarian living with cats in a crumbling house crammed with antiques, a space much too big for one person. After a mad scan of the room, she finally found the 2 keys along with a carefully prepared file folder of instructions atop the mantel, nestled amid her collection of porcelain angels. She had no recollection of moving it there, probably due to her own nervousness at having Jamie Caine moving upstairs. She swooped it up and hurried back to the entry, where she found 2 of the cats curled around his leg, while Audrey was in his arms, currently being petted by his long, square-tipped fingers. She stared. The cats had no time or interest in her. She only kept them around because her mother had adored them, and Julia couldn't bring herself to give away Mariah's adored pets. Apparently no female, human or feline, was immune to Jamie Caine. She should have expected it. "Nice cats." Julia frowned. "Not usually. They're standoffish and bad-tempered to most people. I guess I must have the magic touch." So the Haven Point rumor mill said about him anyway. "I guess you do," she said. "I found your keys and information about the apartment. If you would like, I can show you around upstairs." "Lead on." He offered a friendly smile, and she told herself that shiver rippling down her spine was only because the entryway was cooler than her rooms. "This is a lovely house," he said as he followed her up the staircase. "Have you lived here long?" 32 years in February. All my life, in other words. Except the first few days, anyway, when she had still been in the Oregon hospital where her parents adopted her, and the 3 years she had spent at Boise State. "It's always been in my family," she continued. "My father was born here and his father before him." She was a Winston only by adoption, but claimed her parents' family trees as her own, and respected and admired their ancestors and the elegant home they had built here. At the second-floor landing, she unlocked the apartment that had been hers until she moved down to take care of her mother after Mariah's first stroke, 2 years ago. A few years after taking the job at the Haven Point Library, she had redecorated the upstairs floor of the house. It had been her way of carving out her own space. Yes, she was an adult living with her parents. Even as she might have longed for some degree of independence, she couldn't justify moving out when her mother so desperately needed her help with Julia's ailing father.